My husband brought home his sister after she lost her job. She stayed in our guest room. The neighbor claimed she was loitering and filed a report. I asked him to stop. He said if I wanted a shelter next door, I'd have moved downtown. That week, we got a letter from the HOA with photos of my sister-in-law in her pajamas, drinking coffee on the porch. Taken with a zoom lens. I asked where he got them. He smirked and said, security. But when I tracked the images, they were uploaded to a private forum titled Eyes on Them. We live in a quiet neighborhood just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. It's one of those suburban places where people get mad if you leave your trash bin out past noon on pickup day. The kind of place where the HOA runs things like a mini government. We bought the house 3 years ago. It's a 2-story, 3-bedroom home with a small porch and a backyard that gets just enough sunlight. Ray and I don't have kids. We never really talked much about it. He's a project manager, works from home most days. I work part-time at a medical clinic. Our lives were steady. Calm. Predictable. Then Brianna, Ray's younger sister, lost her job. She worked in Asheville at a car dealership. Laid off without warning. She didn't have savings. No partner. No kids. She was staying with a friend on their couch when Ray asked if she could stay in our guest room. I didn't even think about it. I said yes. Brianna moved in a few days later with 2 suitcases, a few kitchen items, and a box of books. She looked tired, but relieved. Right away, she tried to make herself useful, offered to cook, clean, even wash our cars. I told her to just relax and look for new work. She deserved some peace. For the first couple weeks, things were fine. Then I noticed Jerry. Gerald Penfield. Everyone just calls him Jerry. He lives across the street and 2 houses down. Retired Army, lives alone, never had a wife from what I could tell. Keeps his lawn shorter than most, American flag in the yard, cameras on every corner of his house. He's known for writing complaints to the HOA over things like weeds, porch furniture, and wind chimes. The first time Brianna noticed him, she was walking back from the park. She said he stared at her the whole time she walked up the driveway. Just stood there, arms crossed, like she was trespassing. I brushed it off. The next time, she was getting the mail in her pajamas, sweatpants, long t-shirt, coffee mug in hand. He was outside again, arms crossed, just watching her. He didn't say anything. Just stared. That same afternoon, we got a letter. No return address. Just a typed note in a plain envelope, slipped into our mailbox. If your guest doesn't stop loitering, I will report her to the HOA. This is a residential area. Not a shelter. I was stunned. Loitering? She was staying in our house. Ray read the letter and shook his head. Ignore it. Jerry's always been an asshole. I wanted to go over there and say something, but Ray said not to stir it up. He said it'd blow over. It didn't. A week later, we got a letter from the HOA. Not a complaint this time, a violation notice. Improper porch use. They claimed a non-resident was occupying the porch area during non-social hours. Attached were 3 photos. The photos showed Brianna on our porch. One with her legs curled up under her, sipping coffee. Another with her hair in a bun, reading on her phone. One more with her in a robe, barefoot, talking on a call. All were taken from a distance. Zoomed in. I looked at the angle. These weren't from the street. These were taken through bushes, or from a side view that no car passing by could have captured. Someone was hiding and using a zoom lens. I was furious. I crossed the street and knocked on Jerry's door. I didn't plan what I was going to say, I just went. He opened the door halfway and looked at me like I was bothering him. Did you take photos of my sister-in-law? I asked. He smiled. A tight little smirk. If I wanted a shelter next door, he said, I'd have moved downtown. I stepped forward. She's a guest. And you're creeping around with a camera. He didn't blink. I document violations. Security is everyone's business. I wanted to slap him. Ray pulled me back before I said something worse. Not worth it, he whispered. I let it go, that night. But not for long. Later, I opened the HOA letter again. The photos had timestamps. I'm not an expert, but I knew someone who was. A friend of mine from high school works in cybersecurity. He owed me a favor. I asked him if he could find out where the photos came from or who uploaded them. A few days later, he called. They were uploaded from a different IP than the HOA system, he said. Looks like someone's using a private forum to gather reports before submitting them. He sent me a link. It was a site hidden behind multiple redirects, not searchable. You had to know where to look. The forum was called Eyes on Them. And it was worse than I imagined. There were threads labeled by house numbers. Ours was under Lot 18. The thread was called Woman at 18 Unknown Status. It had 8 posts. 4 pictures of Brianna. 1 unloading groceries, 1 sunbathing in a tank top, 1 stretching on the back deck, and 1 watering plants in slippers. The captions were worse, seen again after 10 a.m. No work? She's been outside 3 times today. Does she have a purpose? Porch behavior equals red flag. Keep tracking. And then this, posted by 6 Bravo, I already warned the residents. We'll continue documenting. HOA needs backup. That username, 6 Bravo. My friend traced the IP behind the account. Matched it to one location, Gerald Penfield's house. I showed everything to Ray. All the posts. All the photos. Ray stared at the screen, tight-lipped. This is sick, he said. He's obsessed. I expected rage. I expected him to go over there and finally do something. But he didn't. That night, Ray was quiet. He didn't talk to Brianna. Didn't mention the forum. He just went out back and smoked a cigar. Didn't come in until midnight. The next day, I looked out and saw Jerry's driveway had a brand new pole. With a motion-activated camera on it. Pointed directly at our house. Ray looked out the window and said, "Guess he's doubling down." He didn't sound surprised. And suddenly I had a new question. Why wasn't Ray more angry? I started watching Ray more closely after that. He wasn't acting right. He stopped talking about Jerry. When I brought up the forum again, he changed the subject. When Brianna asked what was going on, why someone was taking her picture, he just shrugged and told her not to worry about it. I couldn't shake the feeling that something else was going on. So I kept digging. I logged back into the Eyes on Them forum from my friend's account. I looked at the older threads. Most of them were complaints about garbage bins, noisy teens, and people walking dogs without leashes. But then I found another thread about us, one that was older, from over a year ago. Lot 18 night guests. Confirmed unregistered activity. It had 2 photos. One of a car parked in front of our house after dark. One of Ray standing in the front yard, talking to someone in a hoodie. The comments were short, recurring vehicle. Late hours. Not the wife. Same woman 3 times now. My chest tightened. I checked the date stamp. That night, I had been in Raleigh for a work conference. I remembered it because I got food poisoning at the hotel and spent the night throwing up. I scrolled down. 6 Bravo had commented there too. I'm tracking it. Want to be sure before reporting. That's when I realized something sickening. Ray knew about this forum before. Maybe he was part of it. Maybe he even agreed with Jerry back then. The idea of my husband talking about me on a spy forum, behind my back, it made me shake. I confronted him that night. I found older posts, I said. You were in them. He didn't deny it. He sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, eyes on the floor. I joined the forum a while ago, he said. A neighbor invited me. They said it was just for safety, keeping an eye out. I didn't know Jerry was taking it that far. You never told me. It was just pictures of cars. Strangers walking around. I didn't think it was serious. But you were in the comments. You talked about me. That shut him up. I kept pressing. Is there something going on with Jerry? You're acting like you owe him something. Ray didn't answer at first. Then he let out a long sigh. 2 years ago, he caught me drunk in the backyard with that girl. I froze. What girl? He rubbed his face. She was someone I worked with. I made a mistake. It happened twice. Jerry saw her leave one night and confronted me in the driveway. He said he'd keep quiet if I agreed to help him keep the neighborhood clean. I felt like I couldn't breathe. All this time, I said, you've been working with him? Not like that, he said. I just helped him report things. I never took pictures. I never meant for this to happen to Brianna. But you let it happen. He didn't have an answer for that. I walked out of the room. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in the guest room with Brianna and told her everything. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just nodded and said, he's afraid of Jerry. That's all this is. But I wasn't afraid. I was done. The next morning, I told Ray I was going to the HOA. He begged me not to. Jerry will release the photos, he said. He'll tell everyone. Let him. I copied the photos, the forum screenshots, the thread links, all of it. I printed them and brought them to the HOA office in person. The woman at the front desk looked uncomfortable but took them. I left my phone number and told her I expected someone to call me. By the time I got home, Brianna was gone. Not her stuff, her. She left a note. This isn't safe for me. I'll stay with a friend. You don't have to worry about me anymore. Ray was pacing when I walked in. Where did she go? He asked. She doesn't want to be spied on anymore, I said. He didn't say anything. Then something happened I didn't expect. The next day, Jerry's house was vandalized. His car windows were smashed. His mailbox was ripped out. Someone had spray-painted the word pervert on his garage door. Everyone on the block was out watching as the police came. Jerry was screaming at them, waving his arms, pointing at our house. I stood on the porch and stared back at him. I hadn't done it. But I wasn't sorry. The vandalism at Jerry's house sent a ripple through the neighborhood. That afternoon, 3 board members from the HOA showed up at our door. Not with a letter, in person. One of them, a woman named Cheryl who lived 4 blocks over, did most of the talking. We've received concerning evidence about unauthorized surveillance and inappropriate behavior from Mr. Penfield, she said, carefully. We also received word that he may have been operating a private forum for targeting residents. I nodded. That's correct. I sent it to you. She glanced back at the 2 men behind her. There's also an accusation that someone from this household may be connected to that forum as well. Ray stepped in then, face pale. That was me. But I never posted anything about Brianna. He was telling the truth, technically. But the other threads I'd found, the ones from a year ago? He never mentioned those. Cheryl didn't look impressed. We'll be launching a formal review. Until then, we're asking both homes, yours and Mr. Penfield's, not to interact. Ray nodded. Understood. I said nothing. Because in my mind, something wasn't adding up. Later that evening, I got a text from an unknown number. You should really ask your husband where the missing photos went. Attached was one I hadn't seen before. Brianna, bending down to pick up a package, wearing leggings and a long t-shirt. It had the same angle, the same lens distortion as the ones from the forum. But this one hadn't been posted. It had been kept. I stormed into the living room and shoved the phone in Ray's face. "Where are the other pictures?" He looked confused. "What? This one wasn't on the forum. So who has it?" Ray blinked, then slowly sat down. He looked like he was trying to form a lie, but couldn't find one quick enough. "I don't know," he said finally. "Jerry might have sent me some. Said they were for backup records or whatever." "Did you keep them?" He hesitated. "I deleted them," he said. I didn't believe him. I grabbed his laptop. Password protected. Same for his work laptop. I went to the closet where he kept an old external hard drive. Locked in a drawer. The key wasn't there. I felt sick. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I was angry, but because I was afraid of what I'd find next. The next morning, Ray was gone. His car. His phone. His work badge. I called him. Straight to voicemail. Then I checked the front porch. Our Ring camera, was unplugged. Not just unplugged. The wires had been cut. 2 hours later, I got another message from that same unknown number. He knew. He always knew. "You really think he didn't ask for copies?" And then, "Meet me at 4 o'clock. Dogwood Park. Back lot. Come alone." No name. No voice. Just that. I should have ignored it. I should have called the police. But I didn't. I drove to Dogwood Park. At 4:03, a car pulled up next to mine. It was Brianna. She looked tired, but steady. She opened her window halfway. "I used a burner to send the texts," she said. "I didn't want it traced." "You think Ray?" "I know Ray," she cut in. "He told me Jerry was pushing him to send more. He made excuses. Said it was just for the HOA. But I saw him looking at them longer than he should have." My stomach turned. "I thought he was protecting me," I whispered. "No. He was protecting himself," she said. "And Jerry had something on him." I remembered what Ray said, that Jerry caught him cheating. But now I wondered, was that all? Brianna leaned forward. "Check the storage unit. The one he got when your garage flooded last year. Unit 123 at Eagle Lock Storage." I wasn't supposed to know about it. But I do. I didn't ask how. I just drove. The storage facility was just off the interstate, behind a row of cheap restaurants and a closed-down pet grooming place. It was the kind with keypad gates and tall fencing. I'd been there once, a year ago, after a storm flooded part of our garage and Ray rented a unit just for temporary storage. He never mentioned it again. I drove up to the gate and typed in Ray's birthday. It didn't work. I tried our anniversary. That one worked. The unit was near the back, Unit 123. I parked and just stared at the metal door for a few seconds, heart pounding. When I finally rolled it up, the smell hit me first. Stale dust, old cardboard, and something else. Something chemical. Inside were 6 plastic tubs stacked against the wall, a filing cabinet, and a flat-screen TV still in its box. I went straight for the bins. The first 2 were junk, Christmas decorations, old tools, tangled wires. The third one stopped me cold. It was full of printed photos. Dozens. Maybe 100. All neatly stacked in manila folders. Most were of women, walking dogs, getting into cars, checking mail. Some were of kids in driveways. Some were marked with dates and times. There were pictures of me. Of Brianna. Then I saw a folder labeled, HOA, Escalation. Inside were screenshots from the Eyes on Them forum, but these were never posted. They were darker. Nastier. Captions like, "She's a scammer. I've warned him. She doesn't work. She lingers. He keeps her there for a reason. We need to document this one carefully. And then one that made my stomach drop, might have leverage soon. Keep pressing. There was a USB stick taped to the folder. I took it home and opened it on my old laptop, the one Ray never touched. There were videos. Short clips, all dated from the last 6 months. Each showed Brianna, on the porch, in the kitchen window, sitting on the back steps. Most had audio. In one, Ray's voice, "She's staying longer than we planned. I can't push her without it looking bad." Jerry's voice, "Then get me something I can use." In another clip, Ray again, "She's been talking to neighbors. We need to move fast." Jerry, "Then take the damn photo when I ask." My ears rang. Ray didn't just let Jerry do it. He helped. He was trying to push Brianna out, quietly, without looking like the bad guy. And now that she knew, he disappeared. I checked my phone. Still no call. No message. I emailed the HOA everything. Then I called Brianna. "I found the files," I said. There was a pause. Then she said, "I'm not surprised." I asked her what she wanted to do next. "I want to burn it down," she said. "Not literally. But close. I want every person on that form exposed. I want their names. Their jobs. Everything." I paused. "Even Ray?" "Especially Ray." I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up in the kitchen, the USB plugged into my laptop, going over everything. Every file. Every photo. Every name. The forum had an admin account. Not Jerry's. Someone named NetFence. I checked the upload logs. I cross-referenced IPs. It wasn't hard to trace once I had the data from my friend. NetFence was Cheryl. The same HOA board member who came to my house pretending to be concerned. That explained why nothing ever happened to Jerry. Why the photos kept getting passed up instead of shut down. She was letting it happen. She was part of it. I woke Brianna early the next morning. "You still want to bring them down?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "Yeah. We put everything on a cloud drive, names, screenshots, audio clips, pictures of the storage unit. We wrote a full report and sent it, not just to the HOA, but to every email we could find." Local news. A lawyer Brianna knew from her last job, the city zoning board, the real estate company that sold homes in our neighborhood, and a Facebook community with over 40,000 locals. Then, we waited. It didn't take long. By 3 p.m., a news van showed up in the neighborhood. The story was spreading. Private neighborhood watch forum accused of harassment and illegal surveillance. They used our porch camera footage, Brianna sitting, sipping coffee, and blurred photos from the storage unit. I watched Jerry from my porch as he screamed at the news crew, telling them to leave. Then I saw police pull up in front of his house. He wasn't arrested, not that day. But they walked into his house and came out with boxes. Later that week, Cheryl resigned from the HOA due to personal stress. The rest of the board dissolved soon after. But the biggest shock? Ray finally came home. He walked in like nothing happened. He looked thinner. Tired. He sat down on the edge of the couch like he didn't know what to say. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just played the video, his voice saying, "Take the damn photo." He buried his face in his hands. "You don't understand," he mumbled. "Jerry had things on me. I didn't want to lose my job. Or you. You already lost me," I said. I filed for divorce 2 days later. He didn't contest it. He moved out. I found out through a mutual friend that he took a job in another county. Something smaller. Quiet. As for Jerry? Turns out, he had a record from decades ago, sealed juvenile stuff, but the news made sure people knew what kind of man he was now. Nobody wanted him around. Within a month, he put the house up for sale. But no one bought it. Not after what came out. I stayed. So did Brianna. We turned the guest room into her office. She's working again, remote job for a nonprofit now. We still sit on the porch in the mornings. In our pajamas. Drinking coffee. People wave now. Sometimes they stop to say hello. We don't hide anymore. And we don't forget. Because there's one truth I learned that I'll never let go of: when people want to keep things looking clean, they'll bury anything. Even the truth. But once you dig it up, it doesn't go quietly.